Well, I've brushed my hair a little bit more this time. What? How are you guys, friends? Well, thank you so much for watching. And today, I want to thank you for your sweet comments. And I want to start with the Veda Day, another day of living with autism or autism living. And I am going to talk to you about some of the symptoms that I left off last time. We were talking a little bit about some of the sensory issues and such, and I want to tell you about some of the experiences that we went through. There were some food issues. Picky eaters is one of them, but also some kind of what you would call a little bit on the weird side. But I don't like the word weird or quirky because it kind of singles out and it makes people feel bad. So we need to be kinder in the world and think of these things as not quirky or silly, but just different, just different ways of doing things and seeing things. And eating things, because in this particular case, the child would like to separate items as far as food items. So in other words, their carrots can't be touching their chicken and that sort of thing. So you almost want to resolve this issue by buying one of those separator plates that have like 3 little dividers. That would be an easy fix to fix that. And it's not really, I shouldn't even say fix, because it kind of implies that we need to fix them, but no, we just need to accommodate. You know how when you go into work and you're having not such a good morning and you have to stop by Starbucks and get a cup of coffee? Well, that's your way of accommodating in the what you would call the normal world, which you guys know I don't like that word, but just for the sake of this video and for an easier understanding is, we accommodate every day. We use planners to help us remember. We use our coffee to help us, deal with the day. Well, we can just as easily use a plate with a divider to avoid, having these tantrums or, just to help keep the peace pretty much, And it's as simple as getting a plate with a divider so your kid will feel better and they will be okay with eating their food. The other thing is sometimes they may, as far as their voice, now we're moving on to like the, sometimes they may experience things like flat affect, and that means that they have no facial expressions, or they have difficulty, or they have a monotone voice. It may sound a little robotic. They may not say hi back. So if you say hi, they won't respond, or they'll just, look at you really quick and look back, or it all depends on their level of, on the spectrum. So understanding nonverbal communication is difficult, and especially in Asperger's. So as you know, I think it's like 80% that we are nonverbal. We communicate with nonverbal communication about 80%. So imagine that when there's difficulties with that, it's even more so. It's like a double whammy. So, understanding facial expressions and nonverbal communication really has to be taught, and that's where social skills comes in. And there's actually a class that can be taught in school that is called social skills classes, and we'll get into that later on because it's a whole realm of services that you can request. But just know that there are things you can do to even, start at home teaching your child about nonverbal communication. If you see them, one easy thing that you could do is if you see them not responding when you say hi, instead of just letting them walk by without, responding, you go over there, approach them, and you look them in the eye and you say, whatever their name is, I need you to listen when I say hi. And when I say hi, you want to say hi back. And if you can't look at me, it's fine. At least say hi. And if you can't speak, just say hi with your hand. So that is one of the ways that we used in our family and really worked. Another thing that really worked is, instead of looking people in the eye, you can say, look at people in the forehead, in the middle of the nose, because that will give the impression. This is, of course, when kids can understand and they get a little bit older. You can explain to them that we use eye contact a lot, especially here in America. So to kind of disguise the fact that it bothers them, with the eye contact, they want to just look at the people's nose, and that way, the other person will feel content that, you know, they're getting the attention that they deserve. Because when we communicate and look at each other, we're kind of saying, yeah, we're here, we're listening to what you have to say. So that is something that might be common sense to you, but it's not common sense to them. Which brings me to another point. Common sense is usually at the window sometimes, and so you must explain things. They're highly intelligent in some areas as far as academics, but when it comes to saying hello, that's got to be taught. And even just in general, some people are, could just be like that and they're not diagnosed. So it's just a different way of learning, like I said. They could also be very deeply passionate about a subject, you know, especially like in teenagers, they love video games. If they're little, they might be really passionate about dinosaurs and things like that. So there's a lot of different examples I could give you, but that's just two of them. They might want to just spin wheels on a car all day, like I said before. There also could be not physically very graceful, so they could be what you would call clumsy, and a little bit more so. You know, they're like all over the place, or they might spill everything, or they might drop their pencil 100 times a day in classroom, things like that. And they also sometimes can be a little blunt. That's another thing. We've experienced that a lot. You know, we were once walking out of a restaurant, and one of the child said, Mom, why is he so fat? You know, he's really fat, look. And, you know, they're just very blunt, and they don't mean any harm. They don't mean anything. And it's just really difficult because you need to explain to them why other people's feelings may get hurt when you say blunt things like this. So the other thing, it could be that maybe they get stuck on something, and that could happen to even adults, even to the most, what you would call normal of us. You know, we get stuck on something, and something doesn't go our way, and we just get stuck on like that's what it has to be, and we need this to happen. And you know, it's just like a way of getting stuck in your brain. Until you get unstuck, or somebody helps you to get unstuck, which we'll talk about in other videos. Um, so, and the last one I want to talk about is changes in routine. They really get upset about this one. You know, it could be something as simple as you have a substitute teacher one day in a classroom, and the kid just goes berserk because, I'm sorry, that's not a term I should be using, but, you know, just a term for you guys to understand. They really have a hard time dealing with that substitute teacher, and we've many times had to approach the teacher and really even have them call to let us know in our family members that we needed a heads up that there was going to be a substitute, so that the kid would know and therefore prime them, if you will. Priming is another word that we'll talk about in a future date. But anyway, so I think that's all we have time for. Thank you so much for watching, friends. Remember to be healthy, well, happy, and organized, and I'll see you next time. Many blessings.